Hey everybody, Prof Sales. Just thought I would jump on for a little bit. See who's on tonight. I don't know. Just maybe have a little chat, a little bit of listing, a little bit of talk. Saturday night, and I don't know. I just figured it'd be kind of fun. No real reason, just decided to do it. Let me turn down my volume over here. So if you're out there and you're listening and you want to jump in the chat and talk about different topics, the floor is yours. It's an open forum for whatever you want to talk about. And yeah, I see some people filtering the chat room now. So yeah, guys, whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm open to it. Questions, comments, snide remarks, criticisms. I was trying to get some listings done while I was doing some work. And I don't know, I just thought I wanted to talk to everybody, see what's going on. I'll give you the details on yesterday's show and what happened. How's everybody doing tonight? You guys having a good weekend so far? Good sales, hopefully. Good business results, hopefully. Let me get this these windows corrected here. Hopefully you guys can hear and see me okay. I tried to play around with the lights a little bit and make it, kind of good so you could see what I didn't want to have that light right behind me, so I'm just bouncing it. Hopefully it'll look pretty decent. How do I friend you on Facebook? You send me a message and say, hey, be my friend. It's not that hard. Jason Sloan, there you go. Look for my, I don't know if it'd be my picture or not. I can't remember what my picture is. So, drier than a lake bed in California, somebody says. I'm assuming that means sales, right? Yeah, today's been slow for me too. I don't know how you guys have done today in sales, but my sales are pretty slow today so far. Actually went so far as to start a sale about an hour and a half ago. So I'm gonna see if that pops some good numbers. I think it actually probably just will start about now, if I remember correctly. So hey, run a sale. There's an idea, right? Yeah, so I want to tell you guys about yesterday's show. Some of you already know this. So we did a show where, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, where where I was going to talk about how to list 100 items a day. That was the top of the show, and I'm going to try this challenge, Karen and I together, and we are still going to do that. But I was stupid and had some music playing before I came on. And for whatever reason, I decided to go live a little early, so the music was playing. It was an Eagles song. And in that song, is Hotel California, you could hear very clearly. And apparently, as soon as the video uploaded, it gave me a copyright violation and said, hey, your video can be up, but it'll be muted. All the sound will be muted. So I tried to remove the song. I tried to use the YouTube remover. I tried to use the trim. Nothing really worked, guys. And I could not remove the song. So I had to ditch the entire video. I took it offline for a bit so I could try to work on it and see if I could get it to work. But I tried it for like hours and nothing worked. So I had to get rid of that video. Unfortunately, it was a good chat. There's lots of great questions. We talked about the 10,000 list, or 1,000 or 100. Good grief, 10,000. The 100 listing challenge, and it was great. But I could not get that song to go off. So my bad on that one. I screwed it up. It was my fault. Apparently, I know some other people this happened to as well. And so yeah, so if you're listening to music and you want to make a video on YouTube, do not have it playing while you're doing it, because it automatically can find it and give you a copyright violation. And if you're getting a copyright violation, I guess they can block you or suspend your channel. So yeah, so that video is gone. My apologies. I was dumb. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Quick question from Ron Thor. How do you measure the rise of the jeans? In other words, what would you consider a low rise, mid rise, classic in inches? You go from the waistband to the crotch seam. Basically, you lay them down flat. So you go from the very top of the Let me see if I can show you just so. So you would measure, Ron, just so you can see here from right here, which is the top of the waistband. Hopefully you can see that, to the crotch seam, which is right here. So basically between my two fingers, this space. So you measure that in inches. Usually it's an even number on most jeans, and that's called the front rise. There's a back rise too, but nobody ever asked for that. And it's just kind of the same thing, but it's in the back. It'll be a longer measurement. As far as, what's a low rise, mid rise? Man, that's a good question. I mean, technically, the answer I would probably tell you is, if you really want to know if a manufacturer, like that was Ralph Lauren jeans, if you really want to know what their definitions are of those, you would go to their manufacturer's website and look up that pair of jeans and see what they consider it. Because it gets a little tricky sometimes with high rises, mid rises, low rises, ultra low rise. I mean, So I usually don't put the rise measurement in my listing unless there's something funky about it. And if somebody asks, I'll go measure it, which kind of stinks, kind of annoying. But anyway, what's a good price for Chico metallic gold jeans? Well, Susanna, I just sold some Chico jeans, but they weren't metallic gold. I think you can, it depends on the size. Like the bigger sizes, Chico's has that weird sizing, like half sizings, like 1.5 and 2 and 3 and 3.5. But I would probably start out like, I would maybe even try $18.50, $19.50, maybe even $20. I would plus shipping. So I would start around there somewhere. What's up, Deb? Deb, we gotta talk. We gotta get together and we gotta do something. It'll be fun. I watched your whole show the other day. I've watched parts of it before, but I watched the whole show with you and Robin, and I think it's Robin, right? And Yvonne and Tanya, and I guess that was yesterday. So we'll talk. Is it true with the zebra printer you get UPS free shipping labels compatible with it? If so, wouldn't one say more buying the zebra of the Dymo printer over the long run? I have no idea, Michael. I don't know. Don't know anything about that. If anybody knows, answer in the chat. Do you get free labels with a zebra printer? It's Michael's question. Not sure. Can you provide brief cliff notes on how to list 100 items a day? Yeah, well, I guess I probably should, shouldn't I? Basically, what I said on the video yesterday was to list 100 a day, you've got to be prepared. Obviously, you got to have 100 items ready. You're going to have some pre-photographed, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to be able to take photos and list them all and check the quality all in one day. 100, that's really pushing it. You need to have where they're going to go in inventory set up. You need to have a processing area like I have over there so that they can go right from there to the photos, to the listing station, to the inventory, which in my case is upstairs. You have to have obviously enough inventory labels in your labeling system. How are you going to keep track of all these? That has to be in place. You have to have your system down in terms of the flow of it. I literally take, a number of jeans, put them here. I print off a label. I go ahead and start listing the jean. As the photos are uploading on that listing, I affix the label to the pair of jeans and bring the next one down. So, that's something you can be doing while the photos are going up. It's all those things, like it's processes and procedures. So, I think that's kind of the brief cliff notes and what we talked about. And then you just got to do it. You got to commit to it and just say, I'm going to sit here and, well, I'm not going to sit all day. You need to get up and move around and take breaks, because I think that's important. But you got to commit to it and say, I'm going to do 100. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to do it this coming week, guys. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Monday's starting to fill up, especially now that I got a show with Chad that night, and I got to go source and pick up Karn at the airport and blah, 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 and whatever. But we're going to do it, and we're going to film as much of it as we can within reason. And I'd asked everybody in that video to leave me comments and say, hey, what do you want to see from this process of listing 100 specifically, and I'll try to make it happen. What parts of it? Camilla says, I went to look at my Goodwill, and most of the jeans were Wrangler, Lee, Ralph Lauren. Are any of those good? Yeah, you can make some money with Ralph Lauren. jeans, and Wrangler. Bigger sizes than Wrangler, I would go for. Lee is a little trickier. I mean, it depends on your price that you can get them for, obviously. Lee's just not going to sell for that much, but Wrangler and Ralph Lauren, I mean, Wrangler is one of the most popular jeans sold on eBay, so sure, of course you can. If you can get them cheap enough, you can rent a printer for $12 a month. Huh, did not know that, Abraham. Thanks for the info. A late night here in Cardiff. Are you in Wales, Dock-to-doodle-doo? Boy, that is a late night, right? What is it, midnight or 12:30? Do you sell capris? Yes. Do they do well? Yes. But they do better in the spring and the summer. When people are looking for them, sure. Capris are great. No problem at all. And the great thing is they ship really easily because they're very light. All just under $6, Camilla says, for her jeans. Yeah, I mean, that's probably okay, Camilla. I mean, if you can get several, here's the thing too, and it's with jeans, and it's with anything really. I mean, if you can get a bunch all at once in one location, you don't have to go to other locations and find them. You can sacrifice a little profit for time, right? Because you're in one place, you can buy 20 items instead of driving to 10 places and getting 2 at each place. I mean, that would take a while, right? If you only got 2 at each spot. I mean, it's an extreme example, but it's not that crazy at a thrift store. So you could pay a little more for something if you get a bunch in one place, I think. I mean, that because you're saving some time that you would normally use to go somewhere else and find more. So that's always been my mindset, the way I think about it. Hello, Tanya. How are you? Tanya and I I'm now her de facto YouTube, I don't know if expert or tech expert's the word, but so I volunteered to help her with any live videos she wants to make. So if her video quality is not good, you can blame me. Let's see. Do you sell jean shorts and cutoffs? Nope and nope. Can't get them cheap enough. Not in enough volume. So, oh, by the way, guys, I did not do the yard sale today. And the reason why, it was cold. I mean, it was like 40 degrees, which sucked. But as I went outside and I looked up and down my street, and I can see, I don't know, I can probably see 20 houses maybe up and down my street. Nobody was having a sale. And this was already like 7:45 maybe in the morning. I mean, that's kind of late for a yard sale. I mean, most have gotten going by then in a lot of places. At least here they do. And as I drove out to take mail earlier, I didn't see anybody having them either. So I think it was very sparsely attended. I mean, my community does not really do a good job about it. They just stuck a sign up and said, hey, there's going to be a sale Saturday. All right, well, great, but we have a Facebook page. And, you could go on and see that, and they could have went on there and put more info about it, but they didn't. So I think it was just, and I just got to the point. I woke up a little bit later than normal this morning, and I'm like, you know what? I am just not feeling sitting in that cold air. I would rather get busy on other things. You know what I did instead, guys? Some of you are going to be happy about this. Some of you aren't going to care. I worked on the spreadsheet. I worked on getting it ready to distribute. So I did get a lot of work done on that this morning instead. I probably worked on it for about an hour and a half. So it's very close to, I got to give it to my friend to let him break it. But I just don't want to, I don't want to give it to, I don't want to distribute, I don't want to put it out in the universe and it's breakable or doesn't do what I say it does. I mean, I just want to make sure it works. I mean, mine works for me, but if I have an issue, I can fix it like that because I know how all the inner workings of it work. But if if you have a copy of it, you're not going to necessarily know that. And I don't want people to be frustrated. I don't want them to, I want to be able to put out, maybe some short instructional videos that show you, hey, this is how you use it. And it's not complicated, but I just think that it needs to be able to really work really well. So I did get a lot done on that today. It's just some monotonous entering of formulas and copying and pasting that still needs to be done, and then just hiding the formulas. You hide the formulas so that people can't go in and accidentally delete them. Because if you delete a formula on a spreadsheet, then whatever that formula was doing quits working. And then people get errors in their spreadsheet and they're going, oh, this thing's broken. Well, yeah, because you kind of broke it. But so there's ways you can do that. And I've been learning some of that. Anyway. Easy auction tracker. Yeah, I haven't used that one, Deb. I've heard people talk about it. Mine is just, I developed mine on my own, and it's evolved a lot over time to all different, it's actually, you know what the funny thing is, guys? Here's the funny thing about anything you do technical, I find, and especially technical, but in lots of things in life. It's actually easy to make something complicated. I know that sounds counterintuitive. It's hard to make it just as simple as it needs to be, and no simpler. I mean, that is the most difficult part, and that's kind of what you want. But I'm finding that that's tough. I mean, you think, what do you want it to do, and then what do you want to have in it? But then how do you get it to do that in the simplest format possible? I mean, that's the hardest thing, I think, is to make something simple, not complicated. You can always throw more stuff into it, but that just confuses people and makes it harder to follow. Deb says they're easy to break. Yeah, I mean, anything's easy to break. I mean, you can always put in bad data, and you can break pretty much any program, but they're also easy to fix. So, what else is going on? Who is this Moran Gaming begging for an iPhone? I don't really know who that is, but they're heading for a block if they I'm not really sure what their point is. What's up, Midwest? Will you be attending the pandemonium of Black Friday? Is the profit worth it? I don't know, Michael. I mean, the funny thing is a lot of times the sales on Black Friday are not that great a deal. I mean, yeah, there's the doorbusters, there's the loss leader stuff that they take, but they don't really have that great of deals on everything else. I mean, it's just kind of hype. And the Saturday before Christmas is actually a bigger day in retail than Black Friday. So I don't know that the deals are that great, unless you could get the doorbusters maybe in some cases and flip them. But that's going to be hard to do. I mean, depending on, what stores you're thinking about. I mean, there's definitely some great deals. Like, I think you can get great deals for yourself, but getting them to resell, I think that's a little trickier sometimes. I mean, obviously you can, but I'm not going to go stand in line for it. It's not really my niche anyway. Hello, Karen. She's in Florida enjoying like 20 degree weather, or 20 degree warmer weather than here. Camilla, yes, I have a video called How to List Jeans on eBay. Look for it in the how-to section. And I talk about taking pictures. Well, I think so. The days after Black Friday are best for resellers. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense, Crafty. What if, Anthony, I'm not sure what to make of this question. So Anthony is in the chat and says, what advice would you give someone who earns $70,000 gross per year and picks part-time? I gross under $2K per month, but I'm confident I can triple this in 2 to 3 months. I'm like a financial advisor now. This is awesome. I'm not sure what your question here is, Anthony. Is your question, or Anthony, let me say that correctly. If your question is, are you wanting to, I don't know, like go full time? I'm not sure. When you say you earn $70K gross per year, I guess that means in your job, right? and then you're grossing 2,000 per month, and you could bump that up to 4,000 or 6,000. But that's going to require you to lose, you're not going to be making, 70,000 a year is what, 12, that's about $6,000 a month, 5,800, 5,700. So it doesn't sound like you can quite get to that. If you want to change and get a whole different style of life, sure. If you can afford to not have quite as much income at first, go for it. Absolutely. I think working for yourself is a better quality of life than working for somebody else. It's just my opinion. It fits my mindset, my personality better, my goals better that I have for, my financial future and so on, and just quality of life. But you may have to accept a slightly lower income, or maybe significantly lower income, for a while. And your income is going to fluctuate. Whereas with a job and a steady paycheck, it doesn't fluctuate. Like, how much you're going to get every week or 2 weeks or what have you, for the most part, unless you have a commission-based job. But, I don't know what to tell you there in terms of if you're deciding whether to leave your job, and Crafty says, I never talk to resellers about their income. True, but that's not I don't think that was Anthony's question. I think his question was, should he leave his job and go into reselling? And only he can know if he can afford to possibly take a hit in his income. Anthony, I would tell you to assume that you will take a hit in your income at first. Because you can't get enough. You're going to find that when you go into it full time, yes, you can put more time and energy into it. But here's my question, Anthony. You also have to put more capital into it. And that capital, depending on what your business model is, can take a while to flip and come back out in terms of, revenue from your business. It's not like you put $1 in and you get $2 back tomorrow necessarily. It can take some time before you see the benefit from that. So I would say to you, expect that you're going to take a hit in your income. Expect that, plan for that. And then if it still makes sense to you, if it makes sense to you that you may have to wait a year before you're making $70,000 a year reselling, then maybe you should do it. At that point, maybe it makes sense to you. But I would plan on it taking a while. And if it comes quicker, great. You're ahead of the game. Like if you start killing it, knocking it out of the park, and you're making $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month, 3 months from now, gross, great. But assume that it's going to take longer, and assume that it's going to be harder. Going from part-time to full-time means you're going to put more time and energy into it. You're going to have to think about more things. You're going to have more expenses. Your office expenses are going to go up. Your shipping costs are going to go up. You're going to have to think more about the tax implications. Obviously, somebody mentioned accountant and bookkeeper. You're going to have to think about, maybe your business structure might need to change. You might have to incorporate or form a LLC, or who knows. But all those, I would always say to people, if you're thinking about going from part-time to full-time and you're leaving your full-time job to go into it, and $70,000 a year is a good income. That's way above the median income in the United States. I don't know where you live and your cost of living and what your expenses are, but it's a pretty good income. Expect that it's going to be tough for a while. Plan for that. If you've got money saved up, even better. If you got 3 months or 6 months expenses saved up, awesome. And I'm not a financial planner. I'm just saying, in general, assume that it's going to be tough. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer. Let's see. Marks the Sixers game. Nice. Into the first. Let's see who else is here. Abraham says he took a 50% hitting income. Yeah, I think that's pretty typical, Abraham, for a lot of people. Deb says have 6 months of income saved up. Yep. That's a good piece of financial advice, period, right, gang? To have 6 months of income saved up for the rainy day, for disaster strikes. You get sick, you get hurt, whatever. You get kicked off of eBay and Amazon. Like I saw guys today talking about how now Amazon is restricting new booksellers. Books. Or was it books? No, it wasn't books. It was CDs. CDs. I'm sorry, not books. CDs. Restricting CD sellers. I mean, I think it was CDs or maybe it was books. I don't remember, but it was one of those two. And there's a lot of people who make a great chunk of income off of books and or CDs. Someone will tell me here in the chat. I can't remember who it is. But, you know, if you're like, say, what's the guy, Andrew, who is Picking Profits, I think's his name. I mean, he has like 18,000 book listings. If all of a sudden they restricted him from listing books, you know, he would have to rethink his business model completely, probably. I mean, that's probably, he says it's a big chunk of his income and his business, and I believe him. You know, I mean, same with me. If all of a sudden eBay said, hey, you can't sell jeans anymore unless you're an authorized distributor, although I don't know what an authorized distributor to use jeans looks like, but whatever, then, you know, I'd be up a creek. You know, I'd have to scramble quickly. I mean, so it's always a good idea to have income saved up for expenses. Somebody says, let's see, Crillon, I think you should make an official video how you define gross. If you ask 5 different people, they will give you 5 different answers. Yeah, that's a great point, Crillon. I mean, I define it as the total amount of sales that I had from on a platform or all platforms and all sources in a time frame. So from, you know, October 1st through October 31st, what was eBay, what was Amazon, what was Craigslist, what was local sales, you know, and you just add all that up, and that's the gross sales. You would also throw in there shipping income, because that is income. But in my case, I charge, I charge shipping. You have to include that, right? I mean, that's, you know, I'm trying to kind of break even on that. And also I have shipping expense to offset, you know, on the back end. So it's not like it all counts just as income, but on the front end, I'd count all that. And it's tricky because everybody's got a different business model. So it's a little tricky to answer that. Julie says, don't give up your daytime job. I don't know that I would say that, Julie. I mean, I don't think I would make that blanket statement to someone. I mean, this is the myth, guys, people have. I mean, I think this is just my opinion, but I've been in the corporate world, you know, in several different places for many, many years. And they have this myth that there's security with a job. There isn't. There is no security. It's a myth. It's an illusion. They think that, oh, well, I've got the security of knowing that if I go to work this week, you know, I'm going to get paid and everything will be up. No, that's not even true. Sometimes businesses go out of business and don't pay their employees. And yeah, you can sue them, but their creditors are going to be ahead of you if the business goes into bankruptcy. You may not get paid. You may not have a job tomorrow. You may walk in tomorrow and they tell you, thanks, but we don't need you any longer. Or, hey, we need you to do 10 more things than the 50 things you were doing, and you're not going to get any more money for it. Or that nice incentive plan we used to give you, it's gone. Bye-bye. Your health insurance, it's going up 50% this year. There's no security, guys. It's an illusion. I mean, it's just an illusion. I mean, it's like being a little kid and believing in Santa Claus. Like, you want to grab onto it and think, oh, it's just going to be okay if I just work for company so-and-so and they'll just take care of me and I'll be able to work there for 40 years. No, it's just not the way it is. You know, I mean, companies nowadays get rid of people. They downsize, they trim back costs, they reduce benefits. I mean, there is no such thing as job security, guys. If you're working for somebody else, you are not in control of your financial destiny. It is just that simple. They are in control of it. If they're signing that paycheck, they are in control of your financial destiny. They control whether or not you're financially solvent or insolvent. So I don't know. I'm not going to say a blanket statement, anyone just say, hey, keep your job. I would never say that, because there's all kinds of factors that sometimes a job needs to go for other reasons. It's putting enormous stress and pressure on you or your relationships or your family. You work somewhere maybe that does something that's morally, you know, incompatible with your beliefs. I mean, all kinds of things. So I would never make that blanket statement. Let's see what else is going on here. Does Karin's son have any desire to get into reselling for pocket change? Nah, not really. We've talked to him. Gross income is before any expenses. Yep, that's exactly it. Thanks, Jason Potter. You're probably already gone. Hey, Karin. We had one place closed down. The people found out when they went to work that day. No, not anymore. Sorry, you're right, Prof. Yeah, I mean, my parents are great examples, guys. I mean, they worked for a company for 70 years between them. And they had a plan. They had a plan. They were going to retire at such and such date, and then their pension, and they had a pension. And it was a good, they didn't have college degrees, but they had good jobs that paid pretty well and good benefits, a pension, whatever. And they had a plan that they were going to retire at, date X and date Y, and this is what they're going to do. And they built a house that was based around that plan. And then company so-and-so basically laid them both off in the space of about 6 months, and they were both short about 5 or 6 years from their planned dates. Oops. And it totally, they could have stayed, but they would have had to basically do what's called bumping. They would have had to bump other people down and take lesser jobs with bigger pay cuts. And it was a significant pay cut. It wasn't just a little, but a pay cut. So it made more sense for them to leave. But I mean, that company, they had been with that company since the 60s. The 60s. And the company said, you know what? You're older. We can pay somebody less money to come in here or right out of college. Even though they have a degree, they'll still make less than you, and they're not going to cost as much for health insurance. No, that's not what they told my parents, but that's the reality. That's the financial calculus that companies go through. They look at it that way, and it is that way. So there is no job security. Are you familiar with GAAP? A little, Crillon. Oversimplification. Yeah, whatever. I'm not an accountant. I'm not going to get into all that. But I don't know what I said that's an oversimplification. But anyway, talk to your accountant, guys, if you want to get into all the costs and expenses of your business. It's not that complicated, but you do need to have somebody walk you through it and explain it to you on some level. It's more not even just that it's complicated. It's just that you could spend your time better doing something else than spending time doing all your accounting and bookkeeping once you reach a certain level. Deb says, quitting before you're making enough reselling to meet your life expenses is not wise. The problem is, Deb, you may never reach that goal unless you take the leap. Because you're spending so much time and energy in your job, you can't shift enough to reselling to make that goal. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but to think that most people could make $70,000 a year like the previous questioner asked, and then also make $70,000 a year reselling, so they think, oh, well, I can just quit. Well, guess what's going to happen is you're making $70,000 a year at your job, and let's say you're making $20,000 a year reselling. You're going to start living a $90,000 a year lifestyle. That's what happens to a lot of people. You were living a $70,000 a year lifestyle. Now you got 20,000 extra bucks. Well, I'll start living a 90,000, or maybe you live in 85 even. So then all of a sudden you can never leave because you keep raising that lifestyle. So you got to think about that too. Like, what are you going to do with that money? What are you willing to give up and sacrifice for if you leave your job and you don't make as much right away in reselling or whatever business pursuit you take? I mean, life's all about risk. It's always a risk. But anyway, Amazon's a pain in the butt. They can keep it. Well, there you go. They are a pain in the butt in some ways. Do you buy Levi's in good shape? Yes. I don't buy a bunch of unless it was like a Big E or something, and which I never find. But anyway. Let's see. The sale, including the shipping, is considered revenue. Yeah, that's what I said. You have to include both, right? That's what I said. I'm pretty sure I said that. Your shipping is considered revenue. It certainly is in this state for tax purposes, I know. If you want to quit your job, you may need to change your spending habit. Yeah. Oh, man, Glenda, preach. You know, that's a great point. I didn't mention a minute ago. You can be making $1 million a year, guys. Somebody told me this many years ago. You can make $1 million a year, and if you're spending $1 million and $1,010,000 a year, you're going broke. You're going broke. I mean, it'll happen. It's not just what you make; it's also what you spend, and that's a great point. So, great point, Glenda. Fran says Capital One outsourced our entire department. No more car. I mean, man, and how much warning did you get, Fran? Did they give you any warning, or did it just happen? You know, I mean, it sucks when that happens sometimes. Sometimes it's literally like they tell you on a Friday it's going to start Monday. Michael says, do you travel long distances to find better outlets and Goodwills? No, we hit areas, Michael. We've done a few sourcing trip videos you can check out. And you can see we go around to different areas and hit all the stores in that area, instead of just driving there and back. That's not very efficient. We'd rather go, hit a bunch, and then come back. And we even spent the night at the last place we went. We actually got a hotel. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, well, thank you for that comment, Angela. That's very nice of you to say. That's funny. As far as sales tax, some states' tax is to be collected, some not. Yeah, don't even get me started on sales tax. I've been using TaxJar, and could they make sales tax any more complicated to collect than they already do? It is. Don't even get me started. It's not even that complicated to collect. It's just complicated to fill out the forms to remit it. It's just a pain in the butt. And I know you can pay a company like TaxJar to do it, but I don't know. It's not a lot of money that I'm having to remit. I mean, I think the most I've remitted was maybe last month I remitted like $9 and something like that. It wasn't much, but anyway. Whitney asks, beginner, I want to start on eBay. I sold previously, I think she's saying I sold baby costumes. I have some stuff to sell. Any tips? I'm focusing on women's clothing. Yeah, Whitney, I would just say in general, I mean, obviously I don't know your whole model, but it doesn't matter for what I'm about to say. Keywords in your listing titles, not a bunch of fluff words that don't mean anything, and you can leave out prepositions and words like that. Short, brief description that's bullet points of anything that buyer needs to know that your pictures don't show, which by the way need to be great. And then make sure your pricing is in line with what the market, is what completeds and solds are going for, not just what people have it listed for. Tax schmacks wax, Tanya says. Well, Tanya, whatever. What's up, Mr. Sadie? Glenda says, I do bookkeeping. U.S. sales tax are very complicated. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, it is. Wait till you start talking about Nexus for Amazon. Oh, my gosh. I was ready to just like punch myself in the face after I tried to figure out that little gem. But anyway, that's a topic for somebody else's show. I don't think I'll ever do that show, honestly. It's just not that great to talk about. Ever since your talk about gross 10,000, I'm not sure what you're saying there, Rebecca. You'll have to phrase that a little different. I'm not sure what your question was. Goodwill in South Carolina, Abraham saw jeans $5 each, $4.99. Yeah. There's some. I don't know where you were in South Carolina. We've hit a couple areas in South Carolina so far. Karin says we have Value Village as well, and we do not hit them. Yeah, and Value Village, from what I understand, is the same company as Sabres. We're somehow affiliated with them. My understanding is, I'm not sure if it's true, but I think I've heard that. And they're not good here, guys. Value Village is terrible. I mean, they're not a good thrift store in my opinion. Here, I mean, it's overpriced. They staple all the prices onto the clothing, so it puts a hole in everything, which is annoying. Sometimes they ask crazy prices, excuse me, they ask crazy prices for like shoes, you know, they're like men's shoes that are ratty and they're like, oh, $15 because it's some designer brand. And I'm like, no. I mean, it's not, I don't know, not a big fan of Value Village. Let's see. People still talk about the counting issue. Sadie says, you mean I should not use words like good, nice, excellent, awesome, look, wow? That's true, Mr. Sadie. And there's other words too, like terrific, amazing, fabulous, awesome. Oh, you already used awesome. See, I even want to use awesome again. Yes, those words do not work. I mean, they don't add anything to your listing, and they don't mean anything. So, you know, you'd probably be better off putting a blank if you can't think of a good search word to put in there. Anyway, Karen says, take good pictures. Yes, you can hire Karen. She will work. She's expensive though. I mean, I'm telling you, whew, and high maintenance. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. But I probably shouldn't have said that. Can I cut that from the video? Oh, dang it, it's live. Beaufort, South Carolina. I don't know where that's at, Abraham. I know where Beaufort, Georgia is. What is your conversion rate as shown on Seller Hub? It's actually down a bit from the last several days. It's 1.8%. It was 2. It's actually down 0.2%. So it's all right, not bad. What about EUC? Nope. Doesn't mean anything. Excellent use condition doesn't mean anything. Think about it this way, Crillon. Here's what's here. Think about if you wrote in your title, you know, GUC means good use condition. EUC means excellent use condition. Suppose you put GUC to EUC as in your title. What the hell does that even mean? What the hell does that even mean? What is your buyer going to take from that? It's somewhere between good to excellent. So good plus, excellent minus. I mean, I don't even know what that means. So you would never put that in a title. So why would you even put GUC or EUC? I don't even understand those terms. I don't understand them. Like, that's just something people have seen on eBay and decided it was a good idea. But when you really think about it, it doesn't make any sense. So I never use them. Goodwill here in Florida, $7.49 and up for jeans. Ooh, too high. People do not search for adjectives. Susanna just in 6 words there said everything that took me about 300 words to say. Yep, that's pretty much it. How about sexy? People do search for sexy clothing. You know, Jen, if you look at some of the best, highest jean sales, like highest dollar amounts, you will see the first picture is of a woman from the back wearing the jeans. I find that interesting that's what's selling. So I think the implication here is that if you buy those jeans, your butt's going to look like that. So they're not just selling the jeans, they're selling the sex appeal of the jeans, which that's a tried and true method. And you know, retailers use that, right? I mean, you know, they use that with models and so on, and how they show you pictures. But anyway, I've never heard of EUC. Yeah, it's out there, Spikey. It exists. Customers will search new, but not acronyms. Yeah, they will search new. But if you put new in your condition as well, you're gonna get that as well. Like, you should pop up for a new search, eBay says, even if you don't have the word new in your listing title. If you have new listed in your item specifics as the condition, you should. Will you? Nah, who knows? Every time I see UC, I thought it was coming from Europe. It's the European Union cartel. I don't even know what the C would be. Do you think a mannequin is worth investing in? Whitney, that's a great question. It really depends on what you're taking photos of. If you're selling dresses, sure. I mean, I don't think you could take a photo of a dress. I mean, I don't sell dresses, but I'm sitting here thinking about how would I take a photo of a dress without a mannequin? Like, it doesn't really make sense, right? Because people kind of want to see the dress, the whole dress, like how it fits in the waist and the bust and the shoulders, and does it flare out? Does it come in narrow? As well as the pattern and so on. I mean, you could show the pattern in the photos, but with like jeans, I don't think you need to necessarily, because people kind of know what they're going to look like. And jeans aren't as long usually as a dress anyway. It's not top and bottom, it's just bottom. So it kind of depends on what you're selling. I mean, I wish I could answer that question better, but maybe some people in the chat will know. So lots of good questions tonight, guys. I love when I see new, only worn once. Right, that's a great, I mean, is it new or is it worn? I mean, if you wore it, it's not new. I hate to tell you. Only worn once. Yeah, I'll see that like when people try to sell like iPhones, so like new, only used once or twice. I'm going, unless it's still sealed from the factory, it's not new. I hate to tell you that. No, I mean, I wouldn't buy it as new. Crillon says most of the jeans here are $7.99. I stay away because of competition from guys who work real jobs. I'm not sure what that means, Crillon, but all right. I pretty much write the same thing condition as I do item description just to get my point across. Yeah, and you can do that, Sadie. I actually don't really put anything in the condition. I actually just put a description. Anything I've got to say about an item, I'm going to put it in the description. Oh, Rebecca says, grossing $10,000 video really hit home if I'm willing to put in the work. Yes, Rebecca, and that's what I said earlier. There is no substitute for putting in the work to do it. It's a math problem, but then after you figure out the math of it, if you can source enough and you can get enough, then you've got to figure out how to put enough hours into the listing and the photos and the shipping, the packing, and dealing with customer questions and all the back end stuff you have to do. Then you just got to go do it, and it'll work. I mean, there's nothing magical about $10,000 a month. I mean, it's a good total, but obviously there's people who do a lot more. Let's see. Do you sell Michael Kors? If so, are they faked a lot? They're not faked a lot, and let's see what my numbers are on Michael Kors. I don't think they're great. I want to say I have a few. I really don't have much to tell you about Michael Kors. I've listed one and I've sold one. So go figure. I don't remember what it sold for, but yeah, and somebody says not women's. Yeah, and I think that pair was men's, maybe. I don't remember. It sold, but it wasn't huge amount of money or anything. All right, we might have another person just hanging out here making weird comments. What is going on with all this? I don't have a mannequin yet, and I sell dresses and women's suits all the time. If you don't have a mannequin, take pictures of all the details. Well, there you go. Yvette says you can sell dresses and suits without a mannequin, so she's obviously figured it out. Learned something new. Awesome. That's cool. I would think you would need them, but Yvette says, nope, you can do it without it. So there we go. Let's see. Michael Kors, $4 each. You can get them for $4 each, Abraham. That's a pretty good price. I mean, assuming they're good condition, decent size, I would think you could flip them for, maybe $18 plus shipping, maybe only $16.50. How did you come to 5,000 your listing target? eBay gave me 4,900 listings. Problem solved. That's how. So I just started thinking about it. So I mean that's literally how I did it. Prof, do you have a video on how to measure the jeans? I have one on how to list jeans, Whitney. If you look in my how-to section on the channels, see if that one doesn't answer your questions. And if it doesn't, you can leave me a comment. I have a bunch of women's jeans or women's dress I took on consignment. Think about putting on men's mannequins. You got to do a video of that, Crillon. That'd be funny. I mean, I guess you could. But when people try clothes at retail stores and they don't buy it, it is still considered new. That ain't fair, but I get why it might be different online. Yeah, but there's a difference between wearing something out and trying it on a store, Michael. And plus, normally people, when they wear it out, they take the tags off. They may have washed it, even though it was worn once. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Let me just, oh, okay. You must already got that one, Karin. So that's why you would say they're not new anymore. So anyway, what lights do you use? Cowboy Studio, they are. What model are they? That's a great question. I have no idea. No idea. I don't know. They have 5 bulbs in them. They're all like, I guess, the 5500K bulbs or whatever they are, and you can turn them on individually. So, and turn them off individually. So they work great. We love them. We probably gonna have to get some more of them, honestly. Mark, you're charging $680 for padded flat rate? Man, I gotta move my price up. Do you sell new without tags? Almost never, Abraham. I think that's a weird, to me, new without tags is like a weird category. I mean, if it doesn't have tags on it, how do you really know for sure that it's new unless it's your item and that you had it from day one? I know you can sometimes tell, you can look at them and see it's never been washed and blah, blah, blah. I get all that, but it's just tricky for me. I'd rather under promise and over deliver. So I'd rather sell it as used and then the person gets it and say it's still got like some size strips on it. It doesn't have the tags, but it's got the size strips down the leg. They're going to be happy. They're going to be like, wow, this is pretty much new. And you told me it was used. Great. Rather than say it's new without tags, and then they get it and they say, hey, this smells like fabric softener or something. And then you're like, well, or they find a stain somewhere that you missed, you know? I don't know. I'm just a little funny about new without tags. I tend to stay away from that one, just in general. Do you do any external promotion to drive traffic? Nah, it's all organic. I sold a red corset to a man. He was thrilled. I'm not sure what to make of that, Jen. That sounds like a story there. Let's see. I wash my jeans after wearing them only once, but I've come to find a lot of people wear their jeans multiple times before washing. What is normal jean care? You shouldn't wash them much, big boy hustle, if that's your name. And you could even wash them inside out. That does tend to make them last a little longer. And there's even jeans, people will buy raw denim that you never wash. So they don't really need as much washing as people think the way they're made. And washing them does wear them out faster, no doubt about it. And it's the drying does too, the two together. If you're going to wash them, you could even argue letting them just dry on their own. That's better. They're not great to put on after you've done that. If you've ever done that on a pair of jeans, sometimes they feel kind of weird. But how many hours are we working a week? That's a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that, Rebecca. That's kind of a tricky question to answer, honestly. I don't even think about in terms of hours anymore. I just think about things that need to be done and when I'm going to do them. Do you like those lights better than the umbrella lights? I've never used the umbrella lights, Camilla, so I don't know. I've heard good things about them. Steve Rakin uses the umbrella lights for clothing, and he swears by them. So I'm sure they're fine. And if we get another set of lights, we might get the umbrella lights. I don't know. I don't remember why I thought this one was better with the. I think they call it a light box, or not shadow box, soft box, or something like that. Sadie says he doesn't like the new other either. To me, it's either new or not. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Kat says, I sell lots of new without tags because I'm a stylist. I get lots of my high-end items directly from the designer. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it. I just think you could run into some buyers that'll, I don't know, give you grief about it. I'd just rather not deal with it. So air dry the jeans. Yeah, I mean, that is the best way to dry them. I don't really wash jeans hardly ever, guys. Honestly, I feel like it's a waste of time and money and energy. I mean, you've got to put in your detergent and your water and your power, and then it's your time and your wear and tear on your laundry facilities. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it was a really high-end pair and there was something on I felt like I could get out, maybe. But if it's bread and butter jeans, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of extra work for not much bang for your buck. I would just not use that pair of jeans. I would hopefully not pick them up in the first place if they had an issue that needed to be washed. But if it did, then we might defect them out. If we didn't, I don't know. That's just my thought on it. I know other people like to wash things, but I'm in the reselling business. I'm not in the laundry business. I don't want to do much effort. I don't want to put much time and effort into the care of my items and fixing them, making them better. I just want to get them listed and get them sold. To me, that's what I'm in business to do. I'm not in the business of repairing clothing. I'm not in the business of making clothing look better than it should. I'm not in the business of cleaning clothing. But that's just my opinion. Take that for what it's worth. My time, I think, is better spent on other things. I want to get an item, source an item, check it over, photograph it, list it, store it, and sell it. I don't want to do anything extra to it. If I have to do a measurement, that kind of stinks because I'm losing some time and money on that. Because a lot of times measurements don't turn into sales, those people. So, but I got to do them because, so I try to do as minimal measurements as possible so I don't have a lot of back end work. So that's just the way I look at it. Where do I buy lighting kits? Try Amazon. Lots of them on there, and eBay too. Like those Cowboy Studio kits, that kit you could probably buy for new for maybe, I don't know, $90 maybe. I don't know. Somewhere around there. I mean, it's not super cheap, but it's a good kit. There's cheaper ones you can get for like maybe 70. I mean, they're not crazy money. The other day I noticed two of the jeans that I bought have faux front pockets. They're both lightweight and stretchy. Are these likely jeggings? They might be. I would go to the manufacturer's website and try to find that exact one and see if it looks comparable. Now it might be older and they don't produce it anymore. But yeah, could be. Sounds like they could be. It's just kind of hard to tell without more information. I like your quote problem. When I found that tub of vintage Hilfiger they smelled, I wasn't going to pass at 50 cents a pop. I get that, Crillon, but that kind of goes back to my rule I said earlier. You're able to get a bunch at one time for a small amount of money. That might be worth putting the time in. But suppose instead of 50 cents a piece, they were $10 a piece. Would you still, I mean, there's some point where you would still say, it's not worth the time. And that point's different for everybody. Where's Gypsy and Earl? They aren't in the banner. Yeah, they're actually right here. I guess I should have set them up. Sorry, I just forgot. Car and lease for a couple days, it all goes downhill. Have you got used jeans in bulk pallets? Nope, not yet. My kit was $50 on Amazon. Great price. I was thinking about buying a Gaylord of jeans. I know, right? I don't know. Almost always people will honor their purchase from eBay, so if it looks good, then don't spend the extra time to wash before listing. Yep, I agree with that, Gina. I think that's right. I mean, would you buy pre-owned clothing from eBay and not wash it first? I mean, you might. I mean, jeans, you might. That's one item you actually might, because it's kind of easy to tell if they're dirty or not. But If it was like a shirt or something, I don't know. I'd probably wash it first. I don't know. It's pre-owned. You don't know what that person did or didn't do with it. You don't know if they're a reseller or they got it from a thrift store or they wore it right before they put it on eBay. I mean, who knows, right? I got a basic kit for 45 on eBay. Yeah, I actually bought this kit for 50 bucks from my friend. But if you bought it new, it would be, I think, more like 90. It's not cheap. So I don't know. Hey guys, thanks for coming out tonight too. By the way, if you wouldn't mind, a lot of you already had, please smash that like button down below and lets me know that I'm doing a good job, and lets eBay know as well. So I do appreciate it. Kind of an impromptu show tonight. I don't know. I just felt like coming on and answering some questions and talking to you guys. I missed you guys. It was all of 24 hours. And I got to get back to listing here in a little bit. I haven't got anything listed since we've been talking, but last night I was on listening to Chad's show the whole night, and we did the after show whatever, and I was listening the whole time and interject a question, but it was kind of cool to, sort of tie the two together. But anyway, have you ever come across 501s that feel thin and lighter than normal? I don't know. No, not really. I've come across Levi's that feel thinner and lighter than normal. They're usually kids, but not 501s, but there could be something out there. What are the most common brand jeans and size you sell best? You can actually look that up, Jim Bros, on the sourcing tool under growth on the eBay Seller Hub. You can look up and see what opportunities there are in sizes and so on. Or you could, of course, do a search and just look up completed listings. Levi's is the most popular brand on eBay, and it's the most popular jeans brands in terms of sales dollars and amount of units. But the size I sell best, that's kind of a tricky question. I mean, that's very brand specific. Generally, large sizes do better, but there's some caveats to that. Longs and women's do well, no matter what size they are for the most part. Any long is going to do well. The larger men's sizes, 38, 40, 42, 44 and up, they do pretty well. I mean, 38s do well. I mean, that's not like a huge size, but it does well for me. I don't have any problem selling 38s, and I usually get a little premium for them. I get more than I would get for, say, a 36 or a 34. But it's kind of a complicated question to answer, like just with one sentence. So sorry, I might not have answered your question. I switched to LED daytime bulbs for my pics. Cost about 30 bucks for a pack of 4. Yeah, if they last forever, right? And they don't use much wattage. Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't tried those, Sadie. I might have to check those out. Oh, I said, sorry, bargain. Let's eBay know I'm doing a good job. That's right. Smash the like button even lets eBay know that I'm doing a good job. Sorry, my mind was on eBay, right? And let's Google know. That's true. I'm from Fort Myers and have I guess it's supposed to be a bin outlet down the street. Thanks to your videos, I'm selling jeans. Nice, cool. Good luck at the bins. You guys know how I feel about bins. You should do a spreadsheet for dummies. Yes, Thelma, and trust me, no one was dumber about spreadsheets than me. This is how far I go back. I go back to Lotus 123. Let's see if anybody in the chat knows that. Some of you folks probably remember that. But that was probably my first introduction to spreadsheets was Lotus 123. Pretty sure. Might have been one before that, but I know I was using that one. What are your thoughts on thank you notes? Whitney, put it on your invoice. Put on your invoice, thank you, and hey, if you were happy with this, consider leaving positive feedback, and if you're not, let us know. We'll try to do something for you. Something like that. I think that's fine. I wouldn't make an individual note necessarily. I mean, you can. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything, but all you're really trying to solidify there is positive feedback or a buyer working with you if they had an issue with it instead of just starting a return or item not as described. And it doesn't cost you much to do, but you just don't want it to cost you a lot of time is my thing. So whatever you can do that's quick, I put it up right on the invoice, basically. And I usually write something on the invoice real quick as well. It just takes like a second or two. VisiCalc, Lotus, yes. Haha, the 80s. That's right. I'm a child of the 80s. Dimins jogger jeans sells. Jeans sell. Don't have a lot of experience with them, Gina, so I don't know. Do you remember Sympathy? Nope, I don't. I go back to paper spreadsheets, to bookkeeping 101. Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to paper, right? You know, when the zombie apocalypse hits, we're going to have to do our accounting on paper, right? Because, you know, we'll be really worried about accounting when the zombie apocalypse hits. If someone buys a suit for me, I always give them a free tie. Huh, that's a cool idea, Crillon. I like that. I got some ties I need to get rid of. I sell quite a few long denim skirts. We never find them, Angela. We look. Karen looks every time, but we just don't ever find them. But they're great. Denim skirts are awesome if you can find them. Certain, I don't know all the brands, the best brands for them, but it's probably the same as a lot of the jean brands in some cases. No love for the Commodore 64. That was my first computer, Spiky, and I loved it. It was amazing. Great little computer. Someone sum up the last 20 minutes. I went to get pizzas. Deb, you'll have to watch the video later. It's not how it works here. We don't do a summation every 20 minutes. Any plans to do another video with Pittsburgh Mike again? I've actually reached out to him, but he did not email me back. So if anybody sees Mike, tell him, quit ducking me. Quit ducking Prof Sales, Mike. Actually, I've only emailed him once. He may not have got it. Who knows? Do you sell other items? Yes, we do. Not just jeans, but primarily jeans on eBay. Modesty skirts are a great buy. Yeah, I mean, that's a cool thing. And Sadie, you're hilarious. That's pretty funny. Chad and I are going to talk about that Monday about, you know, a niche. And make sure you guys come to that show because Chad's always an awesome guest and he's an awesome host too, obviously. But it's the first time he's been on my show, so it should be fun. But we're going to kind of have a little debate because he and I talk about this sometimes. He takes the approach that, if you know Chad, that he says never walk by money and not pick it up. So if you walked by, you know, if you're in the Goodwill and you saw this, you know, Stanley Fat Max Blade Armor, shit, hope I don't get a copyright violation for saying that now. If you saw that in a store and, you know, it was 50 cents and you could sell it for, I don't know what it would sell for, $10, you should pick it up. Whereas I say you should focus more on niches, you know, finding a niche and really learning it and becoming a pretty expert in it. And if you can mine it over and over. So we have a little different approaches, but they kind of have a convergence too, those two topics. So I'm kind of curious to see how the show will go Monday. We definitely want to delve into that topic because it's not really, that topic's not really covered that much in the reselling community, probably like it should be. Like what sort of approach, because people always come on these shows and they say, what do you sell? Or people ask me, what Jim just asked, what are your top 3 brands? It's like, that's a tough question to answer because there's so much that goes into that. It's not as simple as just rattling off 3 things necessarily. Whereas Chad, if you asked him, what are your top 3 brands? He couldn't tell you because he doesn't shop by brand really. But he's got an eye that he's developed over many, many years to know when he sees something that's interesting enough to research a little further and pick it up. So there's just different approaches to it. And when he and I want to talk about that Monday, that's kind of what the show's going to be back out. Yeah, I said it, Crafty. Sue me. It's late on a Saturday night. So I'll probably get a copyright violation. I'll get kicked off of YouTube for cursing or something. So anyway, wait, what? You guys are funny. You guys are adults here. You have to be. Now he has to put not suitable for work in the title. There's nothing. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really suitable about me for work, honestly. 2 minutes for cussing. I know, right? Um, but yeah, that copyright complaint actually kind of annoyed me on several levels. It's not like I, you know, put Hotel California in my video and said that I wrote it and then I sang it and then I created it and I played drums. I mean, come on. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Let's see. Swear jar. Nice. Yeah, I'll start a swear jar. You can donate to the swear jar and it'll only be my money in there because I'm the only one who ever swears on here. Going back to Jim's question, Jim Bros a minute ago, he asked about brands. I mean, Levi's and American Eagle are great selling brands. You're going to find tons of them. They're two of the most popular brands on there. There's so many others I could probably put in that third place. I love 7 for All Mankind for the most part. Miss Me is a home run still for the most part, not if you can get it cheap. True Religion diesels are obviously great if you can find them that are real and not faked. And there's a lot of other kind of bread and butter brands there. 7 Jeans do just fine for us. Vigas can be good in certain cases. What am I leaving out? Wish Karen was here. She'd be better about rattling off a bunch of brands here at the last second. Not Your Daughter's Jeans, Ralph Lauren, Silver Jeans, love them. Joe's Jeans are decent. I don't know. I mean, there's just a sampling, but it's not like every single one of those that you would find you would want to necessarily sell. It depends on what you bought them for, what size they were, what they look like, what the wash was, maybe the fit. I mean, there's all kinds of other factors. It's not that easy. I know. What would be your one piece of advice you could give a beginner? Start. Get started. Don't let yourself suffer from paralysis analysis. The analysis paralysis. I said that backwards. Just get started. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw it up. You're not going to hit it out of the park necessarily right off the bat, and that's part of it. Get started. Get started in something simple. Get started in something that's easy to understand. And don't sell anything, this is more than one thing, but don't sell anything that's way, way expensive right off the bat. I think that's a mistake a lot of people do. They're like, hey, I want to go in there and start selling iPhones. I think that's a big mistake a lot of beginners make. They try to sell really expensive things, and then if they screw it up, they don't have the condition right, and people are going to scrutinize really expensive things with more, there's going to be more scrutiny of those items, right? If you pay $500 for something, you're going to want to check it over and make sure that it's really good. So anyway, but just get started. Get started. Get a few items, buy a few items, or find the items around your house and get them listed, and just get started. You're gonna learn and make mistakes, and you're gonna have to buy things and try different things along the way and figure out supplies and labels and printers and shipping supplies and envelopes and tape guns and but anyway, just get started. Which bring you the best money, men's or women's? I would sell women's if I had to choose one or the other. There's a much bigger market and there's a lot better supply. Men's sell for a little more money, that's true, but you're not going to find enough of them to make a business out of it. I mean, you can, but it's just, it's going to be tougher. There's just not as much supply, at least in my area. So anyway. So Outdoor Wrangler got some clothes at garage sales and thrift stores. Nice. Let us know how it goes, Outdoor, once you get them up and listed and all that, and let us know how you do with them. Velma, geez, I was reading Virginia here underneath your name, Thelma, sorry. Thelma Thrift says you got to go Merchant Fulfilled for books. Yeah, a lot of people do FBA in books though, but you've got to sell. They got to sell for more money to do FBA because of fees and so on. The storage fees and FBA fees will eat you up. But they sell quick on or they sell for good money on FBA. So it's a trade off. Ties, buy them cheap as dirt. Yeah, I actually started with some ties at one point. I still have a few ties, I think. Maybe, I don't remember. King Flip in the house. What's up, King? What are the best women's jeans brands to sell? I just listed a bunch of them. It's a lot of the same. Levi's, obviously, American Eagle, 7 for All Mankind, I would say, is a good women's jeans. Not Your Daughter's jeans do great. Silver jeans, I've always had great luck with silver jeans. You know, some Ralph Lauren ones. I mean, it's just, gosh, I don't know. There's just not many bad ones. There's just average ones and good ones, you know, and a few great ones, but a lot of just average and good ones, I would say. I started by going through my closet and selling all the name brand items I hadn't worn in a year. Yep. That's a great way to do it, Yvette. Perfect. Sadie's buying Hard Rock jackets. Nice. For $5. That should go, I don't know. What will that flip for, Mr. Sadie? A Hard Rock Atlanta leather jacket. Not my niche, so I don't really know. You're so right, Prof. And a close second is working for the insurance. No such thing. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know why. I don't know where we bought this lie in America that, you know, a job is safe. It just, I don't know. It's just not like, it's just not safe. I mean, it goes and it twists and turns and goes in so many different directions, and you have no control over hardly any of it. I'd rather have control over my own situation and fail than be in a situation where I have no control and always worried about the next shoe dropping. And that to me is what a job is. You're always, if you're not worried about that, you're living in dreamland. You just are. And I mean, I know there's people who think, well, if I lost my job or this happened or that happened or there was a cutback or I lost this benefit, I could go do something else. You could still go do something else. You don't have to stay there. You could start doing something else. And guys, this is what's so funny. If you're working in a job for someone else, you are working in their entrepreneurial dream. If, you know, I got a friend, he works for a big bank, you know, and I've asked him, I'm like, hey, you ever think you would go work for yourself? And he's like, no, I just want to work in a company. And I'm thinking, but you're working for someone else's dream who started that bank. You know, I mean, it's not like that exists in a vacuum of there's just entrepreneurs and then there's jobs. Jobs were, for the most part, created by entrepreneurs, unless you're working maybe a government job. But other than that, that's the reality of it, you know? So anyway, I'm gonna get off that subject and beat it to death. It's a dead horse. Ralph Lauren, Levi's Silver Tap. Yep. What jeans do you pass on a lot? Too many to name, Abraham. I mean, any brand. I usually pass on the big discount store brands, anything that's sold at Walmart or Target exclusively or mainly. I mean, I'm just talking about, it depends on the cost to buy it too. If it was real cheap, even then I might buy it, but there's just, I can't even say or name all those. It's a ton, honestly. A lot of the mall brands are not that great either that you find at places like, you know, Forever 21 or Charlotte Russe and all these little stores and so on. I mean, there are some, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, I just pass on them. Plus size doesn't really matter the brand, it's the style. Yeah, that's true to an extent. If you can get them cheap enough. Have you ever had an issue with jeans getting returned because your buyers claim they're fake? No, but I got a Vero complaint because the company said I was selling a fake pair of their jeans. But no, I've never gotten that one yet. Usually, most people return jeans, just size, just didn't fit. You know, what's the most you're willing to pay for jeans that go for 17 to 20 bucks? Like just over 5. I really wouldn't even want to pay 7, honestly. It just starts getting the margins just start getting small there, and that's assuming you're going to sell them at 17 to 20. But we'll call it 6 because just to round up a little bit, because obviously there can be tax there unless you get a resale certificate and get your tax back. But Sadie says 40 to 70 bucks on the hard rock jacket. That's good. That's great. I mean, I think that's a great flip, right? Some need to work with someone else. Others can work for themselves. I think they just think that, Glenda. I don't think it's really that real. It's just kind of an illusion. It's like there's this whole, I know we're getting off a whole other topic, there's this whole progression. You take your kids and you put them in school, and then hopefully they go through and they do well in school, and maybe they go into college or some technical school, and then they go work for a company and they get a job and they get benefits, they get insurance, and then everything's fine. But then it isn't. Then they go to school and they get in debt. Maybe they come out of school owing $25,000 or more, or $50,000, or a mortgage, or they spend a couple years there and then they decide they don't want to do it, or they go work in a job and then they get fired, or they get laid off, or the job they get pays $12 an hour and they just spent $70,000 on their education. I mean, it's just kind of an illusion a lot of times. Most people don't even, that's the funny thing about college, most people don't even work in their field that they got their degree in. It's like 70, 75%. So what does that tell you? I guess you're training them in some ways, but it's like a lot of people think that's kind of like this dream, of America. And I'm like, that's not really what it is. It's more, you've got to find your own way in all this. And then there's a lot of different paths you might go down, or your kids might go down. So I don't know. I just think that sometimes we buy into that and it's not really what it seems. But anyway, I don't want to get all philosophical on you guys. I got to get off here in a minute anyway. Not everyone wants to run a business. True. I get that. I get that. Jobs used to be safe. Nah, not really, King. They've never really been safe. It's always a lot. I mean, look at my grandmother grew up during the Depression. The Depression, we talk about unemployment. We get our panties in a wad when unemployment gets around 7 or 8%. The unemployment rate in the Depression was approaching 30 and some 30%. I mean, there's never been a time when jobs have always been safe. I mean, tremendous amounts of people lost their jobs during that time. And that was, 80 years ago. So it's just, you got to do something that gives you some happiness, but also gives you an ability to support yourself and whoever else you're supporting and meet your financial goals. And it's not always a job. I would argue a lot of times it's not, especially if you're spending every dollar that you make, or nearly every dollar. That's what a lot of us do. I think I saw the other day, the average American only has saved like $2,500 or something like that. I mean, credit cards, encourage you to go out and spend beyond your means because you're, I'll have the money 30 days from now to pay it off. Well, then why not wait 30 days? So, I mean, we've kind of created this whole culture where we just want it now. And we think if we don't get it now, then we're going to be disappointed. And we pay a price for that. So I don't know. Anyway. Good thing. Yeah. Yeah. Hire the family. That's a good point. Found the lights. ASIN. Oh, nice. $93. That's a little high, Abraham. I'd probably look for a little cheaper than that, or maybe just a cheaper set. I mean, Cowboy Studio is a good brand from everything I know about lights. I'm not an expert, and they worked really well, but that sounds a little high. You might find them cheaper somewhere else. Yvette says, been in my field 30 years, left it 2 weeks ago to do eBay full time. Hardest decision I ever made, but I love the freedom person. Yep. You know what, Yvette? You're never totally in control, but you just took a huge step, and you now have a much better ownership of your financial future. You can go in whatever direction you want. Let's see. The irony is that culture keeps us in business. I know, King, you're right. Well, kind of. But, in my case, I'm selling a lot of used jeans, like on eBay, for instance. People are deciding, I could go pay $80 for that pair of jeans new, or I could buy it from PROF sales for $18 used. And he says it's pretty good and taking pretty good pictures, and it's got, it says there's nothing wrong with it. I'll buy it from him. So I don't know. Maybe that's progress, because do you really have to have it new? You don't. Jeans are expensive, if you buy them new, but they do last a while. If you take care of them, they can last for years. Not many other items you could say that about. But anyway, nothing is safe, which is why I've learned many trades in my life. Yep, that's a good point, Mr. Say. The more skills you got, better off you'll always be. That's for sure. No doubt about it. All right, guys. Well, listen, I think that's going to do it overnight. We've been on the air for like an hour and 43 minutes or something crazy like that. I had no plans to be on this long, but you guys were just always awesome, as you always are, and had lots of questions and comments. So it was kind of a nice little impromptu show. And Saturday night is all right for listing. Hopefully some of you people are going to go back to listing, or whatever it is you're doing on Saturday night. You're doing some work, I hope. But anyway, maybe you are, maybe you're not. It's fine. Take the night off. Hey, don't forget, clocks tonight go back an hour, right? We gain an hour, whatever. If you're in one of those parts of the country, which I am, thank goodness. So they fall back, we gain an hour. So that'll be cool. Hey, smash that like button on the way out if you haven't already. I appreciate that. Lets me know and YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. Don't forget the show Monday night with Chad is coming. That'll be at 9 o'clock Eastern. So Mr. Goldenfinger Picker himself will be on, the man, the myth, the legend, and we'll have a good conversation. And Chad's always a great guy. He's a great guy. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for tonight. Leave me a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button if you want to get more videos like this when they come out. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your night and an awesome rest of your weekend. And I will talk to you very soon. This is Prof Sales saying good sales to you.